Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening. She started to worry. Would the boss think she had some screws loose and fire her? Mr. Collins, your employee attacked me. You can't just stand by and do nothing. Look at my injuries. Such a person should be fired. She's only going to cause embarrassment for your company. As Myra said this, she glared venomously at Molly and said, I'll tell the press about this, how this year's design competition winner is fighting in the break room. I'll make you front page news. Before Molly could even get a word in to explain herself to the boss, Hans nonchalantly said, Good job, Molly, Myra, everyone else. Your salary will be multiplied by 10 next month. Keep up the good work. It took Molly a solid 2 seconds to process this. Excitedly, she said, Thank you, Mr. Collins. Hans' gaze landed on Arabella, his voice softening. Come here, sis. Everyone was taken aback. He's her brother? Myra's eyes went wide. Was he her brother? Arabella's brother was Hans. Molly smirked at Myra. Oh, now you're scared, huh? Too late. Brother. Arabella obediently walked over, looking polite and well-behaved. Hans' eyes softened. Did she cause those injuries on your hand? Yes. They'll be bankrupt by tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Arabella immediately understood his meaning. They stole Molly's stuff. The Cooper family's company originally belonged to Molly. After understanding the situation, Hans took out his phone and gave the order. Tell Ken Frost. If they don't return what they've seized in a day, all direct relatives will accompany him to jail. Myra's eyes widened in disbelief. Hans was going after her family because of Arabella's injury? And they had to return all their wealth to Molly? Why? After they return it, tell them to leave Summerfield. If they dare disturb my sister again, they won't get off easy. Hans hung up the phone, looking at Arabella gently and saying, Let's go home. Seeing him about to leave, Myra hurriedly called out, Mr. Collins, the one who did wrong should pay. I was wrong last night. If you're displeased, just punish me. Do you think you alone can compensate for my sister's injuries? Myra was taken aback. Was she alone not sufficient to make up for the small injury on Arabella's wrist? You overestimate your importance. Hans said indifferently, even if the entire Cooper family were to perish, it still wouldn't be enough. The lives of all 20-something of you combined are not as important as my sister's hand. Myra was completely frozen in shock. She hadn't realized Arabella held such a high status at home. I'm always punctual. Hans reminded her coldly, You only have one day. Myra collapsed to the ground, unable to believe what she had just heard. Bella, you go with Mr. Collins. I'll catch a cab. Hans had a powerful aura. After saying her goodbyes, Molly quickly left. Hans opened the passenger door for his sister and said, Sit here. Arabella stood still and said, Brother, I drove here myself. You can drive. Hans was clearly surprised. Get in mine first. I'll have Aiden drive yours back later. Okay. Without hesitation, Arabella got into the passenger seat and buckled her seatbelt. As soon as Hans got in the car, he handed over a gift and said, This one's for you. He knew Arabella had a competition today, so he brought along a surprise for her before he left the house this morning. Before I bought this gift, I had no clue that QY was your company, let alone that you designed these products. Arabella was a bit taken aback by his words. Her real identity was rarely made public. How did her brother find out? I got wind of it from some folks that you're Queen Abby. Just then, Arabella's phone pinged with a WhatsApp message. Have you taken off with your bro yet? You've really kept your real identity under wraps. You're the Collins family's Missy, running your own business with such gusto. How's anyone else supposed to keep up? By the way, why would you bother with such a small-scale design competition? Did someone drop some big bucks to get you there? After reading the messages, Arabella got the picture. Open it up, see if you like it. Arabella unwrapped the gift, revealing a 4-leaf clover necklace worth $2.5 million. She couldn't believe her brother gifted her something so precious the first time they met. He really went all out. If you're not into it or if there's anything else you fancy, just let me know. I can get you another one. Thanks, bro. I love it. Arabella put the gift away without showing any signs of distaste. You started QY when you were 15. If he hadn't seen it for himself, he wouldn't believe such a young girl could create such stellar designs. Starting as a small brand, it skyrocketed to become a world-class brand. The hard work and effort she put in were easy to imagine. You've achieved so much at such a young age. It'd be a waste of your talents to have you manage our family's clothing company. Well, not really. When I first started studying design, I just wanted to make some dough. Make dough? Yep. Back then, she didn't have the money to buy things she wanted, and she also hoped she could become better. Maybe then the parents of the Murphy family would like her more. But she didn't expect that, in the end, she wasn't a Murphy. How ironic. Hearing her say this, Hans felt a pang of sympathy. Didn't the Murphy family give you any pocket money? Nope. Hearing this, Hans felt heartbroken. At this age, girls should be carefree and blossom like flowers. Just like Serena, enjoying SPA treatments, sipping coffee, shopping for designer brands with friends. But his little sister had been hustling to make money from such a young age. Back at Reflections Villa, seeing that Arabella returned in Hans' car, Edith was over the moon. You're back? Dinner's almost ready. Hans gave Arabella a gentle look, glad he could finally have a meal with her. Bro. Serena, hearing that Hans was back, rushed out, only to see him looking at Arabella with adoration. Her smile almost faltered. Sis, you're back too? Yep. Arabella replied nonchalantly, I'm going to head upstairs to change. Bella, you're back? Louisa was sitting on the sofa sipping tea. Her face lit up when she saw her daughter, pulling Arabella in to ask, how did the competition go today? Before Arabella could answer, Hans chimed in. Bella's team clinched the championship with their skills. He emphasized skills. Championship. Louisa was both surprised and thrilled. Bella, you're incredible. It seems like whatever you do, you're always number one. Oh, what's that you're holding? Oh, Arabella picked it up for her to see, saying, this is a gift from my brother. Hans got you a gift? Did you guys just come back together? Edith quickly added. Miss Bella rode back in Hans' car. Martha, not far away, gave her a look as if to say, what's there to brag about? Serena had ridden in Hans' car so many times. Edith deliberately added. And she rode shotgun. Martha was taken aback. Even Serena couldn't believe it, because even the other brothers usually rode in the back of Hans' car. What made Arabella qualify to ride shotgun? At least you've got some sense, knowing to treat your sister well. Louisa said satisfactorily, looking at the gift in Arabella's hand. What did Hans give you? She wanted to know what kind of gift Hans gave, and if it wasn't expensive enough, she would definitely give him a piece of her mind later. When Arabella opened the gift, everyone was surprised. It was a 4-leaf clover necklace from QY. Serena saw it on QY's official website a few days ago. She liked it so much at the time, but it was too expensive, costing $2.5 million, that she couldn't bear to order it. To her surprise, a while later it showed, sold out. What was even more surprising was that this necklace was bought by Hans. And it was a gift for Arabella. She had never received a gift worth millions. Why did Arabella get the attention of her brother as soon as she arrived? Why? Had I known beforehand that QY was founded by Bella, I wouldn't have chosen something she designed herself. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. They couldn't react for a moment. Arabella didn't have time to stop Hans, thinking, oh no, the QY clothes her parents had given her before, she had taken the money for. Although the pills she sent later were not cheap. QY was founded by Bella? Kenneth doubted his own ears. Did you just say that? Did I hear you correctly? That's what he said. QY was founded by Bella, and all the stuff was designed by her? Louisa incredulously looked at Hans and then at Arabella. You guys didn't know? Hans' gaze fell on Arabella. You didn't say? Now, he realized he had inadvertently revealed his sister's hidden identity. Would his sister think he had a big mouth? Bella, you're really something. Both Melody and Queen Abby. Louisa hadn't finished her sentence when it was Hans' turn to be taken aback. Melody. Bella is Melody? Yeah. Didn't you know, the internationally renowned piano master Melody is Miss Bella? At this point, Arabella was speechless. We're so lucky to have such an outstanding daughter." Louisa praised Arabella, who knew such a good kid who not only excelled at the piano but was also good at designing. Kenneth couldn't believe it either. "Bella is so young, both a piano master and a design master. That's really amazing." Serena, on the other hand, looked very upset. How was this possible? The piano master melody she had always admired was Arabella. She can accept that. But why was her favorite brand, QY, also designed by Arabella? Was Arabella actually Queen Abby? No way. She was hit hard. All the praise for Arabella around her seemed like mockery in her ears. She even dreamed of surpassing Arabella in piano or design. No, how could she be Queen Abby? Could her brother have gotten it wrong? The champion of today's competition was Molly, not Arabella. She went as an assistant. Thinking of this, Serena gave a faint smile, trying hard to maintain her image. "Sis, since you're maestro stylish, why did you participate in this small competition as an assistant designer today? I remember Maestro Stylish has won many international awards. Such small competitions should not be in your consideration." Hearing Serena's question, an odd look flashed in Hans' eyes. Was she questioning Bella's identity? "Bella, did you go today as an assistant?" Louisa was a bit surprised. Everyone else thought she went there as a designer. Even the servants at home thought so. "I just wanted to give the young ones a hand." Hearing Arabella's casual remark, Serena was stunned. To mentor the young ones, a master was willing to be an assistant. Was she nuts? Bella is so magnanimous. Her vision is so grand. Louisa revised her understanding of her daughter once again. At dinner, everyone was rushing to serve Arabella's dishes. Even Hans served her a lot. "Eat more." "Thanks, bro." Arabella's bowl was filled. "Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. You guys eat too." She also picked up her utensils and served her parents and brother. Serena on the side seemed to be ignored. Martha saw it all and was anxious. On the other hand, Edith was smiling with a face full of affection. Martha glared at her. What's so great about it? Arabella was a hard person to please. She picked the wrong side and was still stupidly smiling. After a while, Louisa picked up her utensils and served Serena. "Serena, you eat more too." Kenneth was still smiling. Although Hans also served Serena once, her heart was filled with jealousy. He served Arabella so many times, but only served her once. Why? She had been trying so hard to please her brother these days. She never expected to still lose to blood ties in the end. After dinner, Hans watched Arabella return to her room and followed her upstairs. Martha gestured to Serena, as if to say, "Serena, you should follow them." Serena secretly went upstairs, hid on the side, and saw Hans knock on Arabella's door. Arabella opened the door and said, "Bro, what's up? This is for you." Hans handed over a black card and said, "If you see something you like, just buy it. Don't worry about the money." Arabella just took a quick look and knew that this top-tier black gold-rimmed card had at least 10 million in it. She didn't take it, but calmly said, "Bro, I can earn my own money. This is a gift from your brother." Hans kept his card offering posture. "There's 2 billion in the card. If you spend it all, I'll put more money in for you." Hearing the number, Arabella was even less willing to accept it. "I have my own money. Just take it." Hans shoved the card into her hand. "Use it as you please. Don't sweat it. I won't spend that much. Then save it. When you get married, I'll give you more." Hans' eyes softened. "Consider it living expenses from me." The comment left Serena nearby fuming. Living expenses. 2 billion in living expenses. "If you ever get tired and don't want to work anymore, let me know. I'll take care of you." Hans' voice softened. "If there are any companies under our group that you're interested in, say the word, and they're yours." Serena was furious. "Thank you." Arabella wasn't interested in any companies. She was too busy with her own personal affairs, but Hans' words did warm her heart. "I'll be in the country for a few days. If there's anywhere you want to go or anything you want to do, you can find me. I'll accompany you." Serena's face twisted in anger. Just yesterday, she had asked him to go shopping with her after the game, and he said he didn't have time. Now he had time for Arabella? His favoritism was too obvious. "What's your number?" Hans pulled out his phone. Arabella rattled off a series of numbers. After saving the number, Hans dialed it. "This is my number. If you need anything, call me anytime. Don't worry about disturbing my rest or work." "All right." Hans added her on WhatsApp. "If it's not convenient to say it over the phone or you're too embarrassed, you can also text me." Arabella let out a rare smile, genuine from the heart. "Thank you. We're family. No need for thanks." Hans' eyes softened again. "You should rest early. If you need anything, just find me." "All right." Arabella watched his figure leave before finally shutting the door. Serena, hiding in a corner, was consumed with jealousy and resentment. Just because he and Arabella shared the same blood, was he favoring Arabella? Among her 5 brothers, he was the most calm, serious, and difficult to get along with. Yet he was unusually gentle and indulgent towards Arabella. Serena clenched her fists. Arabella, she shouldn't have appeared in this family. Her arrival ruined everything for Serena. As soon as Arabella entered her room, she received a call from Romeo. "Bella, I'm back in the country." Romeo called her as soon as he got off the plane. "There's something I need to handle. I'll come see you later." "All right." Arabella's voice also softened. I miss you." Romeo's voice was full of longing. "See you soon." "All right." After hanging up, Romeo was watching the game video handed over by Carl. The scar on Arabella's right wrist was very apparent. His eyes turned icy cold. Who the hell dared to harm Arabella? The Cooper family. Ken slapped Myra furiously, saying angrily, "You dared to mess with the Collins family? Are you out of your mind?" "Dad," Myra sobbed, "I didn't know Arabella was from the Collins family. I thought only Serena was from the Collins family. I had no idea where Arabella came from." "You're still making excuses?" Ken slapped her twice more and said, "The Cooper family is going to fall because of you." All right. The most important thing now is to find Arabella and apologize." Mrs. Frost hurriedly shielded her daughter, saying, "Even if you beat her to death, it won't help." "Apologize?" Ken laughed out of anger, saying, "Do you think they'll care about your insincere apology?" Hans said that even the lives of the 20-something members of our Cooper family are less important than his sister's hand. Your apology is worthless to them. "So what now? We can't just do nothing." Mrs. Frost said anxiously, "Arabella gets along well with Molly, right? We can find Molly. You think I haven't thought of that?" Ken was about to hit his daughter again when Mrs. Frost quickly pulled Myra away. "Talk if you want, but don't hit her anymore." Mrs. Frost quickly glared at her daughter as if to say, "How could you be so careless? This child turned out like this because you spoiled her. Now the Cooper family is finished. Are you satisfied now?" Ken closed his eyes in frustration. If it were any other family, there might be ways to mend things, but the Collins family was known for spoiling their children. It didn't matter if it's their son or daughter, they're Kenneth and Louise's treasures. Hurting them was like asking for trouble. Just then, the butler hurried over and said, "Sir, madam, the Macmillan family's car is here. Romeo wants to see you." "Romeo?" Ken remembered that at the recent charity dinner, he had the honor of toasting Romeo and saying a few flattering words. Although Romeo didn't pay any attention to him at the time, not even looking at him directly. Maybe after that, Romeo remembered his flattery, found out about his situation, and decided to help. With that thought, he was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Romeo invited us over." "Yes, he sent a message saying he wanted to see you, madam, and Myra." Myra suddenly remembered, "Dad, could it be about the charity dinner?" She also attended the event. Although Romeo didn't even look at her when her dad took her to toast him. But maybe afterwards he suddenly remembered her beauty. She was confident in her looks. "What are we waiting for? Let's go." Ken quickly fixed his clothes, noticing the red mark on his daughter's face. He quickly said, "Put on some makeup on the way. Let me make it clear if this happened because of you, and if Romeo wants you to give yourself to him in order to help us. Dad, don't worry, I will sacrifice for this family." Myra smiled. Even if she couldn't become Romeo's wife, being his lover was already glorious enough. However, Mrs. Frost was a bit worried. "I heard that the Collins family and the Macmillan family have a marriage agreement. David Collins and Romeo are close. What if they're here to help the Collins family? Help? How can they help? We're already going bankrupt. Can Romeo make us even more destitute or poorer? Ken figured he'd better go. Maybe they really were interested in his daughter. Looking at her again, his daughter was actually really pretty. If only he hadn't hit her so hard earlier and her face wasn't all swollen. Half an hour later, the Macmillan family's car pulled up in front of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts. Mrs. Frost was kind of freaked out and clutched her husband's clothes tightly. This place looks deserted. Is this where we're meeting? I've got a bad feeling about this. What do you know? Ken snapped at her, shrugging off her hand. Stop wrinkling my clothes. I need to look sharp when we meet Mr. Macmillan. Let's just go back. You women are just too emotional. Ken looked ahead and said, sometimes men need a little thrill. You wouldn't understand. Myra couldn't wait to get out of the car. On the way, she had purposely put on some youthful makeup. Feeling confident, she was sure she could attract Mr. Macmillan. Just before entering the warehouse, she even purposely showed off a little shoulder. Ken gave his wife a look, as if to say, even their daughter was better at this than her. Once inside the warehouse, they found the place empty except for Romeo sitting on a chair with Carl standing beside him. The light coming in through the window made the place feel a bit eerie. Mr. Macmillan, you have to help me. Myra knelt before Romeo, crying her heart out. I've done some terrible things, and it's affected my family. I'll do anything you ask if you'll help me. Oh. The corner of Romeo's mouth curled into a cold smirk. Anything? Thinking Romeo was really interested in her, Myra quickly nodded. Yes, I'll do whatever you ask, I promise. Ken, bowing slightly, looked both respectful and fearful. I haven't done a good job raising my daughter. I hope Mr. Macmillan can help discipline her. If Romeo wanted to take care of things here, that would be perfect. Once it's done, not only could he keep his wealth, but his daughter could also climb up the social ladder. Win-win. Romeo gestured, and Carl took out a knife, tossing it in front of Myra. Seeing the knife, all three members of the Cooper family froze, not understanding what was happening. Was Romeo looking for some thrills? Whichever hand harmed her, use that hand to pay. Romeo's eyes were icy. They finally realized that the her he referred to was Arabella. Was Romeo here to stand up for Arabella? Mr. Macmillan. Ken was shaking all over. Miss Bella is yours? Romeo calmly stated, she is my fiancée. Ken was struck dumb, as if hit by a bolt of lightning. Mrs. Frost's face turned pale. Was Arabella Romeo's fiancée? They were screwed. This was not just about bankruptcy. The Cooper family's problems were much more serious than that. You've already messed with her once. Now you're at it again. The chill in Romeo's eyes seemed to come from the abyss. Do you think she's easy to push around, that she has no one to rely on? Hearing this, Ken slapped Myra hard twice and said, you reckless girl. What did you do to Miss Bella last time? I could kill you. Mrs. Frost was too scared to make a sound and could only watch helplessly as her husband slapped their daughter over and over again. You dumbass. Ken furiously slapped her twice. Only then did Myra understand why so many bodyguards wanted to quit that day. It was all because of Romeo. Oh God, what now? Crossing Romeo was much worse than crossing Hans. Ken, Romeo's voice was icy, his eyes even colder. You've hurt my fiancé twice. It's not too much to ask for your daughter's hand in return, is it? Ken was helpless. Not too much, not too much. What are you waiting for, you bastard? Get on with it, or do you want me to do it for you? Ken. Mrs. Frost was heartbroken. Mr. Macmillan, I beg you, Myra is still a child. We can leave Summerfield, never to return. You think you can just walk away after hurting Miss Bella? You're dreaming. Carl coldly stated, you have 30 seconds. Myra's tears flowed. She shook her head, staring at the knife on the ground, unable to make herself do it. The countdown began. Ken hardened his heart, picked up the knife, and started walking toward his daughter. You should never have messed with Mr. Macmillan's people. Ken. Dad, don't. With one swift cut, Myra's right hand was instantly covered in blood, with bone exposed. Screams echoed throughout the warehouse. Mrs. Frost quickly rushed over, cradling her injured daughter, tears flowing like a spring. Ken wiped the blood from the knife onto his clothes, nervously holding the blade out to Mr. Macmillan and saying, "I've cleaned it, is that okay? Can we let bygones be bygones? If you didn't know better, you'd think it was Mr. Macmillan who threatened you into hurting your own daughter," Carl said. Hearing Carl's words, Ken bowed even lower and said, "No, no, no. My daughter cut herself by accident. This has nothing to do with Mr. Macmillan. 22 men against my fiancé." Romeo's voice was full of displeasure. "Bring them in." The 22 thugs from last night were barely hanging on, covered in bruises and cuts. Seeing her own hired hands in such a state, Myra trembled in fear, the pain from her wound almost causing her to faint. "How many of us are there?" Romeo asked Carl quietly. 22 in total, Mr. Macmillan," Carl replied respectfully. "Whether you make it out of here alive is up to you." Romeo stood up to leave. Carl gave them one last cold look, then followed him. Only then did Ken realize that Romeo was giving them a taste of their own medicine. Because Myra had sent 22 thugs after Arabella last night, today Romeo sent his own 22 men after them. But they were used to a life of luxury and had no combat skills. How could they stand a chance against these guys? Not to mention the 22 barely breathing thugs on the floor. Could they even put up a fight? The warehouse door opened, and harsh light streamed in. Romeo and Carl walked out, and 22 of their men walked in. "Mr. Macmillan, I beg for mercy." Ken barely managed to kneel before the warehouse door was coldly shut. Soon after, the warehouse was filled with heart-wrenching screams. Half an hour later, Romeo's car pulled up at the villa by the lake. He looked up and saw that the lights in Arabella's room were still on, so he got out of his car, pulled out his phone, and dialed her number. "Arabella, are you still up?" "Yep." Arabella had just finished showering and was drying her hair with a towel. "Are you all done with your stuff?" "Yeah, I was planning to come see you straight off the plane." But on the way, he heard about her injury and its connection with the Cooper family. He had to deal with some stuff, causing a delay. "Can you come to the window and see me?" At this hour, he couldn't just barge in, and it was sweltering outside. He didn't want her to leave the AC to come out to the steamy balcony, so he could only catch a glimpse of her from afar. Arabella went to the window and saw Romeo standing by his car, looking up in her direction. Even though she couldn't make out his facial expression, she could feel the tenderness and affection in his voice. "Have you been eating on time while I was away?" "Yep," Arabella answered, continuing to dry her hair. "Be careful, your hand is injured." Arabella was startled. "How did you know?" "I watched your competition video," Romeo replied. "I didn't know your hand could not only save lives but also play the piano and even make such beautiful clothes." "Do they really look good?" Arabella asked. She didn't think the alterations she made at the competition were all that important. But since Romeo said they were nice, she agreed, saying, "Then when my hand's better, I'll make more for you." Romeo was pleasantly surprised. "Really? Then wait till you're healed, and you can make some for me." He could tell that Arabella's design talent definitely surpassed Molly's. It was just that during the competition, she kept a low profile, letting Molly take the spotlight. "If anyone ever bullies you, make sure you tell me." "Okay. I brought some late-night snacks. Have them and get some rest." Romeo looked at Arabella through the window, saying gently, "Find someone who's still awake to collect them. I won't ring the bell." That way, he wouldn't disturb anyone's rest. "Don't come down." Romeo added, "Your hand is injured, you shouldn't carry heavy things." After Arabella agreed, she instructed Edith. Edith hadn't expected Romeo to bring so many late-night snacks. She had her hands full and, with a smile, asked him, "Romeo, aren't you coming in for a bit?" Edith guessed his concerns. "It's late, you don't want to disturb Mr. and Mrs. Collins, do you?" Romeo's gaze softened. "Edith, there are some medicines in this bag. Arabella's hand is injured. She might need your help to apply it later." "Arabella's hand is injured?" Edith suddenly remembered. No wonder Arabella was using her left hand to eat dinner tonight. Everyone in the household knew that Miss Bella was ambidextrous. So, when she used her left hand to hold cutlery, nobody thought anything of it. But how did Mr. Macmillan find out? "Rest assured, I will definitely apply the medicine to Miss Bella later. Sorry for the trouble. No trouble at all. Mr. Macmillan is so thoughtful. Have a safe trip. Remember to drive safely. When Edith brought the stuff into the living room, Kenneth happened to see it and found out that Romeo had prepared such a rich late-night snack for them. The dining table was filled with fancy boxes. Arabella was surprised. Didn't he say he only prepared a little? Serena, who was sitting next to Arabella, was quite jealous. She heard that Romeo had gone abroad yesterday and had just returned today, yet he had prepared so many snacks for Arabella. Looking at the logo on the boxes, these snacks were at least worth a 5-figure sum. This poor girl, who can only play the piano and make clothes, what's there to fuss about? Why was Romeo so interested in her? Miss Bella, let me see your hand. Just as Edith was about to check the injury, Arabella pulled back her hand and asked, "Is there something wrong?" "This is the medicine that Mr. Macmillan prepared for you. He asked me to apply it for you later." Edith took out the medicine from the bag. There was also a note in the bag, written by Romeo, detailing what medicine to apply first, what to apply next, and how to treat it in the end. He had written down the whole process. It was then that Kenneth and Louisa found out that Arabella's hand was injured. They marveled at Romeo's thoughtfulness while also feeling sorry for their daughter's injury. "My Bella, what happened? When did you get hurt? How did it get so swollen? Did you fall or were you bullied?" Arabella pulled back her hand and said, "It's fine, I just bumped into something." Since the video of the competition wasn't released, Kenneth and Louisa didn't know she was injured. And since Arabella didn't like to share her personal matters, no one noticed. "Why didn't your brother tell us?" "I'll call the doctor right now." Seeing Kenneth about to make a call, Arabella said, "There's no need. Romeo has already prepared the medicine." These medicines all looked very precious, something they couldn't buy at a regular pharmacy. And it's impossible for these medicines to always be stocked up in his car. Arabella guessed that he might have picked them up from his own house on the way here and then brought them to her. "Let's eat first." Arabella handed the cutlery to her parents, then sat down and picked up a fork with her left hand. Serena, who was sitting next to her, was very jealous. She sat down voluntarily and said with a sweet smile, "Your husband prepared so many snacks. Let's help you share some?" "Sister, he's really good to you. You're so lucky. Since you know he's my husband, please change your address in front of friends." Arabella said this casually while enjoying the food in front of her. Hearing this, everyone was taken aback. Serena bit her lower lip, looking pitiful. "Sister, what do you mean? I don't understand. Didn't you publicly claim that Romeo is your fiancé?" Arabella looked up and said lightly, "Your friends all believed it and came to help you today." Serena was as if she had been struck by lightning. Which friend? She must have misunderstood. What's her name? I'll call and clarify right away. Sure. Arabella didn't stop her and smiled slightly, saying, "Go ahead, it's someone from the Reed family." Brooklyn Reed? Just as Kenneth and Louisa were about to say something, Serena hurriedly said, "How dare she bother you like this? My thing with Romeo is already in the past. Maybe in her eyes, I should be with him. Has she gone crazy? Interfering in my business? I'll call her right now." Martha hurriedly said, "Serena, it's late. Don't disturb Brooklyn's rest."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.